Hello everyone! I don't know why I just sounded a bit shocked. I'm hoping that you have returned. And I don't know why I didn't call you honeys or angels. Like, who am I? You okay, hun? Are you actually okay? So, I wanted to do a little update, actually quite a big update of what's been going on lately. A lot of you might have seen on my Instagram, but my little 12-week-old baby sweetheart, she's actually 13 weeks on Friday, so when this goes up, she'll be 13 weeks, and she's 3 months on Saturday. Like, what is actually going on? Why is time actually a thief? I love it when people say to you, like, time's a thief before you have children, and then you realise, like, time's actually stealing from you 24/7. Literally. Want to do a little update. I probably look tired. I am tired. Basically, Oriavella actually had RSV and bronchiolitis, and I kind of want to give you the backstory of where we got to and where we're at now. Not because I'm making this a big deal of it, because it's very common, but I wanted to help maybe other parents if they are looking for certain signs and symptoms, or just tell my story because actually I saw Charlotte Dawson uploaded she did like an IGTV, is that still a thing? Is it still a thing? She put up a video on her Instagram, and actually when I was worrying about everything, it really helped me because I was like, that's definitely what Oriavella has, we need to get to hospital. So, she had like a cold and a cough for about 4 days. And I just assumed it was from Renalia because Renalia goes to nursery. Renalia brings it all back. It is the cold and cough season. I love the British weather. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. I'm pretty sure if we were sunny all year round, A, English people would be so much happier, and I just think we'd be nicer. And B, we potentially wouldn't get things like this. But anyway, so she had this cold and cough, and I was like monitoring it. It was quite mucusy. And we were just like, okay, it must just be from Renalia. Then I was like, Spence, is she struggling to breathe? And he was changing her nappy, and he was like, she is a little bit constricting around her ribs. So basically, if they're pulling in and sucking in at their ribs, it means that they're working extra hard on their lungs. So it was only minuscule. And about 3-4 months ago, I actually can't remember what it was. Let's just pretend I know all the dates. So about 3-4 months ago, Renalia had bronchiolitis. We went to the doctors. I was like, is this bronchiolitis? She was like, yes, it is. But Renalia got over it pretty quickly. They did give her an inhaler, but she got over it pretty quickly. She struggled to breathe for about 2 days, but it wasn't anything that was limiting that we needed to take her into hospital. Don't quote me on that, but I know that lots of babies and children can fight it at home without needing extra support, which is where we thought we'd be. So we went to the doctor, and this was on the Monday, and Renalia was at nursery. Went to the doctor on the Monday, and the doctor was like, right, she is definitely struggling. She's not struggling to the point where I'm telling you to go to A&E. I'm telling you, you do not need to go to A&E yet. She was running a 37.5 as a temp, so that's fine. Although she did say to me, the doctor said, could you give her a bit of a Calpol because that's going slightly raised. But I thought it was only for a 38. But anyway, it's 37.5. I'm just giving you facts. I'm not saying anything else. She was feeding at that point. She was feeding really well, although she was struggling a little bit when feeding. My flow was very fast, and sometimes my boobs are really engorged, and it was a lot for her to take. So she was sort of, and I was thinking that was just the mucus. So I'd sit her up, burp her throughout it, because she does take my flow, and she's an amazingly efficient feeder. She's incredible. But then when we were at the doctor, she was like, if she stops feeding and if she stops doing as many wet nappies, if she starts doing half as many wet nappies, then please go to A&E and watch the temperature, etc. She was like, I was up the other day with my son up in A&E, and it's just full of RSV, bronchiolitis and croup. She was like, it's all going round at the moment. So I was like, even the doctor's child is getting it, everyone's getting it. So then came home, and we were monitoring Oriavella, and that point in the evening was when Oriavella got worse. Now, we have an amazing next door neighbour. We love them so much. We literally think they're our extra parents. So obviously my dad's in Hungary. My mum's 2 hours away, but also has a job. So we don't have anyone directly near us. So they are literally the most amazing people. And the lady next door actually owns a nursery. So she came round and was trying to help us because Oriavella was not wanting to feed. So at this point I was like, this is worrying. You know, we tried a bottle, because I thought it might be easier if I could sit her up, then she doesn't have to lie down. I tried different breastfeeding positions, laying back to slow my flow down, maybe get a bit, I stripped myself, I stripped her, not when the lady from next door was here, but we got some skin on skin. And eventually, after a while, you know, I was ready. I was like, I don't care if it needs to be formula, I don't care whether it's my express breast milk. We did have a couple of storage breast milk sachets in the freezer. So that was really positive, and one in the fridge. So I knew that we had an extra supply in case we needed it. So in the evening, do you know, it's really hard telling stories because honestly, unless you write bit by bit down, baby brain is a real thing. And it's just really hard to remember every single inch of detail. So she had a little feed and Spencer texted the next door and was like, brilliant, it's really positive, after she'd gone. Then she was up the most of that night, majority of that night, screaming, crying. Her throat was so painful. She was having so much mucus and she was really starting to struggle. But at this point, we were umming and ahhing, should we go to A&E, should we go to A&E? Should we just wait until the morning so that, because we know that when you go to A&E in the night, we were going to wait there. This is about 3 o'clock in the morning at this point. We would wait there until the morning. Like, we wouldn't be seen until like 8 o'clock in the morning. So we were like, why don't we just get up, get Renalia ready, ask nursery if she can have an extra day, so that me and Spencer can go up together. So then Renalia isn't, you know, stressing because daddy might have to come up to the hospital. I didn't want Renalia having any of that stress. I just wanted her to be distracted. Ideally, if my mum and dad were here, would have been amazing, because she could have been with them, but that's fine. You know, we've got to do what we've got to do, and we're grateful that we can put her into a nursery that she really enjoys and she loves, and they are so amazing and they're so supportive. So then we went up to A&E, and pretty much very quickly they got her through the doors, basically, with the doctors. They took some of her obs and they were like, we're getting her straight through. Before they took her obs, they wanted her completely stripped and they wanted to weigh her. At that point, they then wanted to take her temperature on my lap. I should have been like, can we just get her dressed quickly? No, because she literally, when I mean pooed, because it was getting to the point where when she was sneezing and when she was coughing, she was pooing. It was coming through her because it was so powerful, the sneeze and the cough. It just went everywhere. When I mean everywhere, it was literally yellow all over me. I will insert a clip. And when I was walking through A&E, people were staring at me as if like, what has happened to you? But I'm holding a baby in my arms. Evidently, baby's poo. Yellow poo is baby's poo. So it was everywhere, which I really didn't care about because I was like, I hope this baby's... I did not care about anything except my baby. I saw another mum in there. She was crying. I was just telling her it's okay. It's her second child as well. A lot of the babies that were in the hospital with RSV and bronchiolitis all were second babies, and the eldest had brought it back from nursery, potentially was a carrier, just airborne. You know, it's really hard to restrict Renalia from kissing her sister. I don't want to make it so it's like, you can't kiss your sister because then she might lash out, she might get angry. I don't want to build... It's really hard with a toddler that's 2 to be like, listen, she's not very well, you can't kiss her on the lips. So we were restricting her as much as we can, but obviously kiss her is probably what's given her this. The lady was crying. I was like, your child is so lucky that you care so much about your baby. I was really, really trying to be there for her, and she was so sweet. And I feel like this motherhood bond of like, we've all got this, like we're in this together, let's back each other up, let's support each other. You know, she was upset, her husband's an A&E doctor. She was just, I said, your child is so lucky that you care so much about him, that you're crying, that you care, and he's going to get better, I promise you. So then, very similar symptoms, and she was actually on the ward with me. So then, went in to a bay, and the doctor came in, looked at Oriavella and was like, we need to give her some oxygen. Her oxygen levels are low, and what we need from you is for you to express. Well, I bought my pump, I bought my Medela, I had the hands-free, the new Flex pump, and I love it. I absolutely love that pump. It was the first time I used it in the night of that night, and I love it. I've used Medela before, but I love this one so much. It doesn't even feel like you're pumping. So I was like, is there any milk coming out? It's very good. The doctor comes in and is like, yeah, I'm going to need you to pump. Does she take a bottle? I was like, we can try. They brought in 2 different bottles with 2 different teats, all sterilised, etc. She did not want any of it. She's not the best at taking a bottle anyway. She's only taken about 6 bottles in her 12 weeks of life. And now she's only started taking bottles from me. She won't take them from Spencer no matter what we try. So if there's anyone out there that has tried bottle feeding and you give it a rest for a week, don't, because they then suddenly decide they don't want it or they don't want to latch and things like that. So that is just my little thing. So then they were like, because she wasn't really drinking from the bottle, she didn't want it. They were like, we need some milk in her, but also they watched me feed. So at this point she was latching, but when she was feeding, she was head bobbing like... like that, and they were like, we can't let her do this, we can't let her feed on you when it's causing her so much exhaustion. She was in and out of sleep constantly, and they said that because where she's feeding and it's really she's sucking and she's really just trying to digest it and taking it in, she was just so she was really exhausted. She was absolutely exhausted. So this nurse came in and was like, so I've been told by the doctor to put the tube in. And that was like my worst, like I was like, I knew when I watched Charlotte Dawson's video what Oriavela had, and she explained that she had to pump and her child had to be fed through a tube. And I was like, I knew, I said to Spencer, by the way, before we get there, I feel like this is going to happen. And I just feel like mother's instinct, you just know, you really do know. Obviously we're not doctors, so you can't quote us on it, but I do feel like you just have a gut and you're like, this is happening. I really didn't want her to have the tube. I wanted to leave the hospital. Spencer really wanted to leave the hospital as well. He was like, she doesn't need this, she doesn't need this. And he was really sort of, because he was so worried and scared. And I was like, baby, what should we do? Like, I want to, you know, I want to be with you on this. But she needed to be in hospital. She did. I would love to be like she could have fought it at home. I really didn't want to have to, no parent, no person, unless something's, you know, extremely wrong, really wants to be in hospital. You want to be in your home, you do. Also, the doctors are very good at what they do. They would not have admitted my child into a hospital if they didn't think she needed oxygen and the tubes down her throat. So then they were like, we're going to put the tubes in, and they explained it's not the nicest of processes. They have to, you know, hold her head down, etc. I was just bawling my eyes out. I don't want my child to ever feel any, you know, anyway, I don't want to go into it too much because I'll just cry and we don't need me crying on every single video. It's been a very emotionally, physically draining week. But she's priority, that's it. My baby's a priority, whatever they need. So then they put the tube, and then they said, can you express? So I started expressing. I will say that has been one of the difficult things, but I'll speak about that after. So I had to keep expressing, but obviously I'm really lucky. I have, you know, I'm very fortunate that I can get the milk off quickly and it's positive. Then they said that she needed oxygen, so they were wafting oxygen at that point. They were just wafting it and holding it, and the oxygen levels were really, really good and rising. And then they were like, right, we're going to get you on the ward. We're going to need you to stay overnight. Some babies are in here for a week, 2 weeks. And I was like, at that point I did break because I was like, oh my God, my baby, like she's actually got something, like she's actually not well. And they said it was bronchiolitis with RSV virus. They took a swab. But also I was thinking, my big girl, the only time I've ever been apart from her was when I gave birth. And I was like, oh, honestly, I found that the hardest part of hospital, not to make it about myself because it is about Oriavela, but that was, as a parent, the hardest part. I felt like I just wanted to clone myself to be in 2 places at once. Like, Oriavela needed me. She was the priority. She actually needed me. But also I just felt this pull of like, Renalia doesn't ever have, I do the night times, you know, I do the bedtimes, I read her books, you know, anyway. So then Spencer left to go and pick up Renalia, and that was a really difficult evening. My mum came down and that was amazing. My mum asked for the day off, the day to work from home, so my mum actually worked in the hospital with me the next day, and Renalia went to nursery that day because it was actually her day of going to nursery on the Wednesday. But Spencer said that he had like a good 45 minutes of her just screaming for me when she got back from nursery, because she knows like I normally pick her up, I'm normally always there. But it's positive, you know, she's got to be around her dad and that's amazing, and Oriavela was getting better. But I did find that really hard. I found it really hard to be just stretched, because yeah. But anyway, it wasn't like she wasn't with anyone, you know, she had her dad and that's amazing. He's an incredible dad. But I know that she's a connected child and she feels her. But anyway, so then in the evening, the doctor came and said what they were going to do, but her oxygen levels had raised, so they weren't going to put her on any oxygen. And then this doctor, so at Oriavela's age, she doesn't self-settle. She does try. She's really, you know, an amazing sleeper, and she has her dummy, and she really is, so she's just amazing. But at that age, it's really difficult for them to self-settle. And basically they were feeding her. By the way, the NHS are incredible. And I just think, I don't know, I just think they're amazing. They're just magical. The nurses, the doctors, the nurses, they are just, they're just another level of human. Midwives, nurses, like, I hold them to such a highest, they're just incredible. Even the people that come and make sure the floor's clean and feed you, and we are so blessed. We are beyond blessed in this country. We really are. Anyway, yeah, so the nurse I had, Juliet, she was coming in and she was basically having to feed, not through the tube on continuous, she was just on a feed where they just put it in there and it would come down. So Aurelia was getting 60 ml every 2 hours. Well, I know when I've given her a bottle in the past, she has 120 ml, and after 120 ml, she wants more milk. She drinks a lot. She's on the 99th centile, or maybe a bit over it. She's on that centile of baby. So I know she does drink a lot. But they were saying that basically, because she is a bigger baby, the doctor came and explained it the next day, because she's a bigger baby, their stomachs, they can fill it up a little bit more. Not that they have big stomachs, but they fill up their stomach a bit more, and then it puts extra pressure on their lungs that are already under extreme amounts of pressure with the mucus in there. They were explaining that that's why they have to do the 60 ml. So she wasn't going to be hungry. She wasn't going to be full, which was really hard for me because she wasn't full at all. She wasn't going to fall asleep. So she was lying on this bed she had to lie on for the tubes, and then they did bring oxygen in because her oxygen dropped, so the oxygen had to stay over her. So I'm patting her bum. Nothing is getting her to sleep. I couldn't pick her up because she's on these lines. I couldn't pick her up. I couldn't rock her. I was just lying next to her, stroking her, patting her bum, doing everything I could, shushing, doing everything I could, but nothing. I did it from 6:30 till 10:30. Then a doctor came in and turned on the lights and was like, I need a continuous feed. And that's the only time I felt a little bit like, oh, okay, I just wish. I was like, please, can you turn the lights off? I tried to get her to sleep. She needs some sleep. She's so tired. She was screaming a lot. She was crying a lot. And I'd got in the cot at this point and I was just doing everything I could to be there. And then I'm leaking all over the place because my baby's crying and I'm leaking. And then they were like, we need a continuous feed, so you need to pump. And I was like, I wish you told me this throughout the day because I would have pumped more for the night. So then I pumped throughout the night, so I would just make alarms and pump because I was starting to get engorged anyway. And that was just her sleep. She was just up all night. She was just crying. She was just hungry. She wanted my boob. She was getting fed straight into her stomach, so she wasn't having any comfort. And then the dummy she didn't want the dummy. She was spitting it out because she was like, she hated the feeling probably of this tube. It was just horrible. It was just horrible. And then the doctor came the next day and the doctor was amazing. The doctor was like, hey, you do YouTube. Shout out to the doctor. I love her. And the nurse, I didn't actually get the nurse's name, but the nurse watched me that came in with the doctor. She was her nurse, and they were just so lovely. They were so lovely and so nice. And she really explained to me, she said that because of this, babies can have a rasp, like a constant one of those for a while afterwards. So she was explaining to me that because she's also a bigger baby, to wean her from 5 months, if she can sit up and all those things, if, blah, 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 but it's something that the doctors will talk to me about. But basically, we weaned Renalia at 5.5 months because she did all the symptoms and signs to be able to wean, and we spoke to our healthcare professionals, so it's fine. As long as you get healthcare professionals to watch and observe, and as long as they're doing the things that are online, if they can sit up. There's loads of other things I'm not going to give them because I'm not a nurse and I'm not a doctor and I don't know what I'm saying, but yeah, it's something that the doctor did say to us. And she's obviously, the ward doctor, and she's amazing. And she also works with the hospital that Renalia is under. So then they said, but we need to keep her in for another night to see that her oxygen levels don't drop, because basically her oxygen levels dropped when she was asleep, but then they dropped below what they should be. So then we raised the bed a bit. I raised the bed anyway, but then we raised it a little bit more so that she could have less, she could breathe easier. And then the next day, it was like she wasn't even sucking in. And now we're home. They discharged us and we're home. So I stayed in 2 nights, 3 days. So that night was a lot easier. The nurse, again, was so sweet and so supportive. And there was one point where the oxygen was dropping and I was really worrying. And they came in and then they changed it because the thing was on her foot the whole time, the monitor. So they changed the foot and it was fine. And then they monitor it throughout the night. No oxygen needed. So then the next day we got to go home, which was incredible. And now she's just struggling with a lot of mucus and she's still got it. So I do I do want to monitor it. And they did say to me if it continues, take her to the doctor to see if she may have a chest infection. So that is something we're going to be doing. Yeah, keep steaming her. We've got these nasal drops, and then I've got the Snuffle Babe, like snot sucker. So we're helping to clear her, and we've got the humidifier, which really helps her at night. So yeah, I went to a salt room actually yesterday, which I did discuss on my Instagram, and basically it's incredible. I was recommended it from Spencer's friend's partner. She's amazing. And her boys kept getting like coughs and colds. And she was like, I want to find something which is, you know, going to help. So she found this salt room, and it's in Brighton. It's called the Salt Cave. I think it's called the Salt Cave or Salt Room. Salt Cave? I have to find it. Let me find it because it's in Brighton. It's called the Salt Space. And it is amazing. Oh my goodness. I went there yesterday with Renalia. Oriavella can't go till she's 6 months. But oh my goodness, Renalia, first time in so many weeks, she didn't cough all night. She didn't have anything. So it's expensive. It is expensive, but you can book in block. So the first one was free, and then I got 7 sessions for £100 because it's like the first sessions you get. And they say like 2 a week when they're struggling. And wow, I went in there with her. There's some toys there. You sit in there for half an hour, and you can really taste it and feel it. But the salt basically goes into the lungs, and it disperses. It's an anti-inflammatory, but it also breaks down mucus. It's incredible. Apparently, in Eastern Europe, they have them connected to nurseries. So the lady was telling us that she has a lot of people with, you know, longer term medical issues that are older, but also a lot of Eastern European people that really use it when they're abroad, when they're back in their house. But she said she has a lot of Eastern Europeans because they really get it. Because, you know, that's what they do abroad. I wish we had it connected to nurseries, but obviously it's not something which is, you know, looked at much, but it's definitely, I would definitely recommend looking into that because it is amazing. And so, yeah, that's what I just wanted to update you on. A bit of an update. I've got rid of my fissure. I know that's a whole nother thing, but I just wanted to give you an update because I spoke really openly about hemorrhoids and fissures on my Instagram. And I think you guys really appreciated how honest I am about things like that, because lots of people, even influencers, message me like, I'm so glad that you've spoken about this because I don't feel so alone. So yeah, I wrote down how I healed my fissure, if anyone wants to know, because I got an anal fissure, and basically I didn't actually get it from childbirth. I got it from being so constipated after childbirth. Speaking about this, by the way, because I just wanted to get it in one video, because then a lot of people view those stories and also message me and say like, thank you for this. And I just wanted to speak about it in this because I don't think I'll speak about it in like a vlog or something. I just thought I'd speak about it in this. So yes, but now I'm left with really big hemorrhoids. I've been given some advice about hemorrhoids, so I wanted to tell you about those. But for my fissure, for my fissure, I went to the toilet every single time to the toilet with my salt bath. So I put like a sitz bath. I'll link it, but it's basically, if you just type on Amazon, sitz bath or toilet bath, put toilet bath, and it's brilliant. I sat on it, I put warm water in it so that it gave my bum some relief when going to the toilet, because I'm going to be honest with you, fissures are absolutely so much pain. And a lot of people said they haven't been to the doctor about it, but they bleed all the time when they go to the toilet. I would go to the doctor because if it's hemorrhoids, you can get creams. But if it's a fissure, I would definitely go to the doctor. And I know loads of people don't like going to the doctors. I'll come with you. I will come with you to the doctor to have your fissure and your piles looked at, because I just wish we, as a country, just felt more like liberated. Like, this is my body. I don't want to be in pain. The doctors have seen it all. They have seen worse. You know, they have to look at 90-year-old ladies' bums that might have piles. You know, we've got the most amazing healthcare. We need to make sure that we're utilising that. You know, I just, not to an excess, but go and get it looked at, because it might not be hemorrhoids and it might be a fissure, and the fissure will get worse if you don't help and get treatment. I had a small fissure, but wow. She said it was small, and I said to the doctor, sorry, I'm going to swear in a minute, but I said to the doctor, and her face, she went, it's quite a small fissure. I went, small? If that's fucking small, what the fuck do the big ones feel like? And her face, she was like, are you all right, Anne? So yes, hemorrhoids can go back in. But anyway, so my fissure, I had the sitz bath and it really helped. I filled the bath with warm water every time I needed a poo. I'd sit on it, and then I did like muscular breathing. So I'll show you. Breathe like this instead of pushing. So I just breathed and just relaxed my pelvic floor and my bum muscles, and it allowed it to come out without me pushing. Really amazing. It literally came out without me pushing every time. So and push into your ribs here and just... And then I took Docosate, which was recommended by you guys. They gave me lactulose, they gave me, they bloat me, Movicol. I've had them before with my stomach. They bloat me, they're horrible. I don't like them, I don't like them. That's me, from my own perspective, I don't like them. They really bloat me, they make me really gassy. I never know how many sachets to take. Sometimes you get the runs and some, you know, it's that. So I took the Docosate, the blue packet one from the pharmacy. The blue packet one, make sure you take the blue packet one. I took a teaspoon of inulin every night, 30 minutes before bed. I got recommended that by my nutritionist, 30 minutes. So inulin is like a natural fibre, that really helped. I took a greens powder, FS Greens. I've got a link, I've got a video on my TikTok where I take it. And it's FS Greens, it's from Free Soul, amazing. Amazing, so much fibre in that. I upped my fibre intake, so I was looking for things constantly with fibre, but not too much that would hold too much water. I took syrup of figs, a tablespoon or teaspoon of syrup of figs. I drank rehydration drinks, because even though I drink like 2 to 2.5 litres of water a day, I was being dehydrated from breastfeeding constantly. That was fun. I need to speak about my breastfeeding. Sorry, I'll speak about that in a second. So I took rehydration drinks. I got them from Amazon. I can link them if anyone cares. I got a cream from the doctors called Reptagesic. It gives you headaches. So if you suffer from migraines, definitely let them know. But you put it in 10 minutes before you go, and then that helped me so much. But the migraines, the headaches are a thing. I don't know why you get the headaches, but my doctor did tell me you will get headaches from it. It obviously just goes into the bloodstream. I don't really know. Speaking of hemorrhoids, piles, everyone said for those, get Anusol or Germaloids. The suppositories are meant to really help. Go to the doctor though and make sure that, you know, yeah, anyway. Sitz baths and witch hazel, and up the fibre intake. Up that fibre intake, huns. You've got this, we've got this. And in a nice warm bath, push them back in. Push them back in with some coconut oil if you're not in the bath, but in the bath, just gently push them back in. So, just really quickly, my boobs had never felt so empty after constantly pumping. And then when we got home, I felt like I had a newborn again. She was like cluster feeding and my boobs felt so empty. Like, I know they weren't empty because she was getting milk, but they weren't getting full at all. They were not getting a little bit engorged. They weren't getting anything. And I was like, oh my God, my supply is just not the same. And she was feeding like a newborn. You know, when they like feed, pull off, because they're annoyed that the supply isn't there. Feed, pull off. And luckily, after like 2 days, we're back to where we were. I did loads of skin on skin. I did hand compressions. Carmel from Gentle Births and Beyond helped me. I did lots of hand compressions. I didn't express again, but I just kept offering her both boobs each feed multiple times. So she'd be on here, then I'd offer her here, then I'd offer her again here and here during the feed. And yeah, we're back to where we were. She never lost weight or anything from that, but my boobs weren't giving her, and she was waking up a lot because she wanted the milk and she wanted to boost my supply. So that was just something I would say. The pumping from the hospital really did affect that. And also I didn't pump. I don't know when to pump. I didn't know what I was doing. So that was a bit of a funny one. But anyway, I love you guys. New week, positive week ahead. Hope you enjoyed this video. I guess it's just an update of me sat in my child's room. I'm really sorry if it's a really shit update, but I just thought I'd let you know in case anyone else. Yeah. And also with RSV and bronchiolitis, they get like a blue tinge around their lips. Oriavella didn't get that, but apparently that's from where they're so dehydrated. And yeah, it's a sign to go to the hospital. Anyway, I love you.